I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name That Umbrella Guy. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me, or I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me, or I'm a man.
Whoa, bro. Looking good, man. You working out? You lost weight? Wow. Great suit, by the way. You working out, man? You're looking good. That's a nice suit. What is that? What is that made of? You know, velour? What, a silk robe?
All right. Hey there, folks. How's it going today? Welcome to a Saturday edition of Let's Look at Some Court Documents. This stuff has been interesting, too. As in, you have let me pull this up here. You actually have a back and forth that's getting a little more, it's getting a little more heated, a little more fascinating as it goes along. I forgot to tag my video today, too. I noticed that. I was like, wait a minute, I forgot something. I forgot to tag the video. Oh, well. Live and learn, live and learn. But this back and forth, it's fascinating because I'm curious where exactly it's going to go. You have Rekieta Law and Aaron Imholte, but it's not in the public. We're talking about it's in the public as in it's taking place within court. You've had mention of him brought up actually in the DHS, a hearing there. You've had the filing that's happened where you have a revenge prawn filing, and you have Imholte talking about how that is coordinated witness intimidation now. And it's going to be, like I said, it's getting a little fiery. So let's check all that out. Now, if you missed out on that little chapter of revenge prawn, we will add that into it too, since there's about 2 minutes of it. But we had brand new filings come up about a day and a half ago. I think it was. I was curious about them. I actually wasn't going to cover them at first, but then I noticed the parts that, well, let me just show you how the parts look, and then we'll talk about that from there. So give me a second. We'll actually look at the document itself. But you had this part that was talking about a witness for the state, saying, you know, in light of your statements at the arraignment, that any recording or broadcast may be a contempt of court. If I have knowledge of someone in the state of Minnesota who would be presumptively be under the jurisdiction of the state who violated that order, what would the proper course be? You know, should I bring that? Should I note that in the trial? And it actually, you know, I need to verify my information before I actually do make an accusation. But I have reason to believe that someone in the state who is actually associated with the prosecution's case was the person that's doing that. So this statement, it's kind of fascinating, like I say. And I'm gonna read the documents that it's attached to. And then I'm going to work in, like I said, the revenge prawn thing we talked about the other day. And you have this, again, Imholte responding, oh man, all of this is witness intimidation. I was like, really now? It makes you wonder about strategy, too. You know, the discrediting of somebody court-wise, not just getting them in trouble. You know, and again, I mean, if they are violating, they are violating. If they did do revenge prawn, they did do that. They definitely did this stuff live, by the way. So that is not a question of, did that really happen? Yeah, we did see that recorded. But let's look at the documents that this is attached to. Now, I've done my best to scrub these documents of sort of names and addresses. That way, you know, none of that stuff is in there. I'm trying to get rid of kid names. Remember, there are 3 items that are actually going on in the courtrooms that involve Nick Rekieta. You have, of course, the state versus. On top of that, you have the matter associated with DHS, with the kids. And you also have the matter that is going on with Monograph. I forgot his name for just a second there. I was like, wait, what's his name again? Oh, yeah, with Monograph. Give me 1 minute. I'm going to blow this up here. Now, this is actually much clearer than we typically get with these type of documents. It is still, if it is a little fuzzy, that is on the document side. It is not on our side, but we have quite a few pages for this. Again, this is transcript of proceeding. This was uploaded. Give me 1 second. I'm going to light my cigar, and then we'll begin. I like having my cigar here. For these readings. So for appearances, you know, they tell you who exactly is here. I'm just going to read appearances. And like I said, there's some interesting little tidbits in there. Plus these documents, they get brought up in snippets. I've seen a few people that do cover, like, was it Mean Copium? They went through everything. Sometimes I just see snippets of it. So, you know, if this stuff is being covered or just thrown up partially, you should see the whole thing. You know, and these aren't uploaded to the site itself. Somebody is going, it looks like they're photographing themselves. That's why they look exactly how they are. But let's check this out. So appearances. The petitioner appeared through its attorney. They give who the attorneys are. You know, that would be the county's attorney's office. So again, that's why they're it. The mom, she makes appearance. That would be Kayla, along with her attorney. So, you know, there had been question. I think this is also something that that helps answer a question. You know, there had been questions about representation. What exactly is going on there? Well, you have documentation of representation here for Kayla's attorney. And then you have Nick appearing along with his attorney. Now, along with that, you have the child. This would be the oldest child. I redacted name. Now, the name, of course, has been out there a while. I hope that I scrub every name on here. I'm doing my best to do that. If I miss one, I hope I don't. But if I do miss one, I mean, that does happen every now and then. But I'm trying to scrub names because, again, we're talking about kid names here. So the child, it'd be the oldest child. They appeared. Now, the guardian ad litem, they appeared. Also present, Alicia Sweep. Now, Sweep, you know, infamously was named in a live stream. I don't think there's been any naming since then, which is smart, which is, you know, the way that should go. You shouldn't be naming these people or talking about them in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. They were brought up, I think, in an angry portion of a stream once. You know, that kind of stuck with me because I was like, but recently there hasn't been any naming of them as far as I know. I haven't kept up with every broadcast. There was also the interview with Chrissy Mayer. I still have not sat down and listened to. I need to make time for it. I was reading some other documents, though. So I need to make time for that, too. But you have Alicia Sweep, social worker, through, again, County Health and Human Resources, foster parents, and paternal grandparents. I'm just going to read the minutes here. That way it includes everything, you know? So whereupon the following proceedings were duly had. The court. We're going to go on record this afternoon for an emergency protective care hearing. This is in the matter of welfare of children of, so that again, Rekieta. They don't know how to pronounce the name, so they go over that. Talk about, here, represented by, so they give representation. The guardian ad litem, they also appear. They tell you, Alicia Sweep is also in the courtroom. Again, I'm just giving the highlights of this part. This is all just introduction there. Okay, so the record should reflect that the oldest child, too, was also there. They're like, yeah, I am here. That's what's redacted there. That's, if you see some really terrible white boxing, that's me. Give me just 1 second here. Give me 1 minute. By the way, I wanted to note, thank you, Fallen Hero, for the gifted membership. And also, John, what's up, John? I may disappear from YouTube soon. One of my favorite channels is XR Plays, cute Asian couple who does reaction videos. YouTube recently banned them for a crappy reason. That's why, actually, a lot of us have, we have to have something to make sure that we can communicate with YouTube. Because if you can't get past the, entry-level workers at YouTube, they're the people who do bannings, then you have problems there. You can hit me up, John, with that. I said, maybe there could be something done. It depends on what stupid reason is there. But, maybe there could be something. I don't know. I don't know what they've gone through. I'd like to look up there if they have Twitter or something and see what they've said on that, though. But, yeah, no other platforms are a mess, too. I wish there was a good platform for everything. Unfortunately, I think we've all been through that. But in addition, at least I understand it, in the courtroom today are, give me 1 second, both paternal grandparents. They tell you, that the kid that's present is one of 5 kids, but the only one present in the courtroom. As I mentioned, the matter is set for emergency protective court or care hearing. It is my understanding the children were placed in protective care following the execution of a search warrant. There's a reason to read this again. There's the part that's mentioned that hits Aaron here. So I thought it was interesting that it works its way into this. And the arrest leading to an order, and then leading to today's hearing. It's my understanding that we will use the preliminary springboard, if you will, for the next hearing, which will be a combined admit-deny emergency protective care hearing. And I say that because there's an advisory to protect all children who are age 10 and under, and redacted that would be the oldest child again, or redacted them, has 2 other siblings who are at least age 10 and are eligible for McKenna Advisory, which does a couple of things. 1, it gives them the rights to have an attorney appointed for them, and 2, their right to go to court and be present at court hearings. So, and that's interesting, isn't it? Your kids too, depending on age, that they have the right, number 1, again, to have an attorney appointed for them, and to 2, the right to go to court and be present at court hearings. So the court will delay that until all 3 eligible children are present. I wasn't certain from the petition, which I heard, so let me ask the parents, are any of the 5 children eligible for membership? Native American, of course, they ask about that. I actually went through that when we had a false CPS thing. I actually posted about it. People are like, that can't be real. Yeah, it is. If there's any question of Native American ancestry, then they will ask about whether or not, you're recognized. Is the child actually recognized as, if they are or not? So that it's brought up, because that, again, brings them under the Indian Child Welfare Act. I just thought that was fascinating how many people think that's not a real thing. Oh, by the way, Thank you, Carrie. Thank you for 11 months. Happy birthday. Baby and brother girl, I sent PayPal for the birthday girl. Yeah, it was my littlest birthday yesterday. She turned 5. So, when I look through this stuff, again, the kid stuff, I think as a parent, anything that involves kids hits you kind of where you live. Chris, thanks for the 2. Aaron has always come off as a slime ball to me. It's amazing how many people, here's the fascinating thing with Aaron. At the beginning, everybody was like, oh man, well, I won't say everybody, but a lot of people were like, oh man, this guy, just coming out. And it's interesting to look at commentary with Aaron and to see how a lot of that's changed. As more and more as things went along, how if you look at the commentary on his own channel or on clip channels, like Alyssa Clips, I mean, you look at it and it's definitely changed over time. It's fascinating there. John, by the way, thanks for the 5 there. I'm mod at YouTube, still got a tug and a chat. Turn on your gifts if you want memberships. Yes, indeed. Thank you, John, too. I appreciate it, man. Like I said, hit me up about that freaking channel, though. I hate that stuff. I'll see. Again, I don't know if anything could be done, but maybe. RMCN has restored 3 channels so far. So, also, John, thank you for 20 gifted memberships, too. Thank you. Make sure everybody has their ability to receive gifts. Become a member if you want to. Thank you, too, John. Appreciate that. My memberships are my favorite thing on this. So, one second here. This thing's hard to slide around. This is all one document. That's why I'm sliding there. So they talk about their, they had an admit deny on for everything that came up. Again, I want you to see what comes up in this conversation because this this all, it's just like I said, it's fascinating. So does it, there's objection. Is there any objection? No. All right, Ms. Weber, are there any objections to the court granting a continuance with the notion that remain in the out-of-home placement pending hearings? No objection. We're just asking, we got the kids that are older. Should there be access to parents? Certainly like Zoom and phone calls. So they were talking about access to parents. Again, like I said, there are a couple of things in this that are fascinating outside of that. Also, I would like to indicate that the petition drafted by the county itself indicates that the children were in no knowledge of any drugs being in the home and are not aware of any use. And any testing of the children that would result in drug use, according to the children, would be because of secondary exposure from some other source. So this is actually a fascinating statement there. There were discussions over whether or not kids knew. Okay, well, the state itself, according to this, in their own drafts, are saying that the children had no knowledge of substances that were being utilized in the home. And that any testing that came up, any results, that wouldn't be from, the reason I'm saying it this way is because there were people that were saying, well, maybe this happened or maybe that happened. Maybe substances were given to kids, due to the high level of in testing. Remember I think the levels were like over 5,000 with the cutoff at 500. So, you were talking about high levels there. And this itself is saying, well, any testing there, that would be from secondary exposure. I understand the county's position is trying to attempt to facilitate the safest visitation for the children, but there is no indication other than simply a statute that these children have ever been in danger of exposure to any substances or that their parents have been under the influence of any substances around them or while providing care. Just a second, I have a kid walking down the steps. Here, let's see to get this ready for you. Baby.
Can you call her?
She doesn't have the thing. It's broken, remember? You have to ask her, okay? But you gotta go upstairs for this one, okay?
Okay.
Here. Happy birthday, by the way. You tell people it's your birthday yesterday? You say, oh, you're how old now?
Yeah,
7.
everyone knows already.
They know already? Okay. All right, you go upstairs.
They already know.
All right, close that door for me, though. Close it tight, okay? I need it closed so it's not loud to hear. Thank you. She brought me a popcorn thing. I was like, well, have that in a minute. But yeah, she turned 5 yesterday, so she's excitable still. So, Your Honor, I would just ask that the very minimum, we go ahead and go with initial suggestion that the maternal grandparents who are currently providing care be offered the visit, or be allowed to facilitate supervision and visitation. We've not done anything to not cooperate with the county other than to assert our rights to request counsel before answering any questions, and before submitting to any testing. It's something that we had not had any, give me 1 minute, opportunity to do, again. So what they're saying with this is, as far as refusal to cooperate, like again, this is interesting because the refusal to cooperate notion being presented, they're saying, well, we were trying to make sure that we actually protected our rights. That's what all of that was about. It wasn't about, refusing to do anything. It was about counsel. Like I said, certain things in here like that, they make this, like I said, we just got a hold of this. It came up in a lot of places. Oh man, John, by the way, thank you for the additional 20 gifted memberships too. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Very much so. Appreciate you, brother. Emma, thanks for 5. Happy birthday from Australia to the Buglet. Yeah. She had a crazy birthday. D for 2, thanks for the 4 months. Catching up on 1.5, indeed. That's the way to go. I speak slow. I'm Southern. That's why I speak slow. John, thanks for the 10 too. YouTube is deleting my comments lately. It pisses me off. In addition to XR being deleted, I may go nuclear, delete my account. Happy birthday, Lug. Yeah, I understand that. They hide a lot of comments is what they do. They actually hide them. And for channels, like, I used to try to keep up with that for myself, just to know. But I had a month where YouTube wanted me to approve close to 20,000 comments. I was like, I can't do that, man. And some of them, they'll hide like spammer links too. So if you approve everything, you drop a bunch of spammer links out there. So it's like, oh my God. K-Rap, thanks for the 10 there. Happy birthday to Bug. Thank you. AKA Cat Lady, thanks for 5. Tug, great dad, thank you. Makes me really miss my dad, who was my best friend. Indeed. I miss my stepfather. I was very close to. It brings that up sometimes, especially Father's Day. And Subi Sue, thanks for the 2. Happy birthday, Lug. Thank you. They say baby, and I know they're Bug Lug, but yeah, it's the baby there. That's why, like I said, the whole thing, all of this situation for me has been such a, you can see some days it hits me and I'm off a little bit on this because people I know were talking about a situation involving kids, and it's just, I don't know. It reflects on that. It hits a little closer to home than like just a random thing. Now, the first time they spoke to county workers that are home today, despite multiple attempts over the weekend, they starting at 8 a.m. to contact county workers. I was unable to until they arrived at our home. When they arrived at our home, they found a home that was much cleaner than what was initially found. Now, this statement was actually brought up. I thought this was interesting where people were discussing it. They were like, we've been making immediate efforts now that the school year is finished to go ahead and take care of the clutter in the home. So, when this was brought up, you were like, hey, the house was indeed cluttered. Yeah. You also want to appear to be very cooperative. Like in everything you say, I'm cooperating. I'm cooperating with X. I'm cooperating with Y. For sure. But that was something that was pointed out. Hey, wait a minute. There was clutter. I can imagine having 5 kids, by the way. 2, it is I have two with, I have one of those, I have like one of those little vacuum bots. My God, the things it picks up. I got a mop bot in the area over the kitchen, so he keeps it clean. And how to make sure it picks up stuff. And I got another little vacuum bot. I picked them up over years, but I've got one downstairs to keep stuff up. And it is, I can imagine 5. And then, so we're not even requesting that the children be placed in our home during this continuance, but merely that visitation be supervised by people who are obviously qualified to provide the supervision and are sitting in the right room, or in this room right over there. It's over the over 3 decades in this county. So they're like, hey, they're going to be right there. They know exactly what's going on. So yeah. So the court, they ask, and Rekieta, they ask him in this county. Yeah, that's right. So the court. It's like, Miss Sweep, what's the agency's timetable to getting through the vetting process, providing education material to supervisors? I would say we would look to doing a safety meeting. Of course, that's normal. Within depending on, so again, the dates on this, you see the dates on it. But again, this all just came up. And it's just fascinating to see where it's been going. Cooperation of the parents within the next week or 2. Okay, that's longer than I anticipated. Why can't it be done this week? The court's like, hey, why can't we get this done quickly? Because again, remember, all of this was based on an emergency. So they came in, they were like, hey, due to this, we need something done with the kids right now. And that only holds for X amount of time. So like, hey, something needs to be going in place. So it's a very active investigation, told that is early in its stages in regard to the agency learning, who's had knowledge of use and drugs in the home, who's been notified of use of drugs in the home, and the education behind how to look for use and being under the influence. All right, so they get their dates on the admit deny, which we've heard about. Now, the court will grant parents' request for continuance, given their prima facie showing for the petition that it would protect the rights of both parents to continue the matter. It provides the parties additional time for safety meetings, safety planning, of course, all of that. The court takes notice that the holiday weekend puts this at a standstill since the arrest. Court will also find that the agency was unable and has demonstrated by the petition that given the particular circumstances of the children's removal from the home, there were no services or efforts. Just give me a second. Like, again, I'm scrolling one document, so that's why I'm doing it this way. It's kind of a mess here. You can see how many pages are like in one. Good Lord. Give me a second here. It's taking forever. There were no services available, which would have allowed the children to stay in the home. At that time, in particular, both of the parents were arrested. This out-of-home placement or emergency out-of-home placement was indeed necessary. They had to have something there because, again, look at the circumstances. Currently, the proposed out-of-home placement with the children's paternal grandparents is the least restrictive and most home-like, and certainly meets the cultural needs of the children. Now, again, we've talked about that. Everything that you do is supposed to defer to the safety of the kids, but also, again, it's supposed to look at their needs. So when we look at that, again, it's noting everything that we've talked about before. That's the way the court's supposed to look at it. That's actually the way that DHS is supposed to look at it too. They don't always, but they're supposed to. They're supposed to look at least restrictive. Meets all needs. I would push this matter a bit harder because I take a personal view that the Harmony Visitation Center or visitation at the agency is artificial at best, not appropriate for older children. If you have a 2 or 3-year-old, that works pretty well with toys. Older children, it does not. For now, I will utilize that as supervised visitation, but ask the agency to come up with a safety plan, again, This is all about how they establish. I mean, again, it's everything that we figured happens, but we didn't see. Or alternatives, if not, some of the family can agree upon some safety planning. And then we'll continue. Again, they give the date, when. At that point, children will have attorney available for them. The judge will provide mechanic advisory. If there's anything else for the record, this is where we're going to get over to that. This is when it starts to pop up here. Anything I've forgotten? There's one other item for the mother and father's perspective, Your Honor, likely just a typo. So they go through the kid's name. We're going to roll through that. Again, I redacted all of that. I think that needed to be redacted, by the way. You know, again, if I'm redacting something, it's just the one thing that I'm trying to get out are names of kids. So if you see a redaction box, it's either that or it's taking apart an address. On the other thing I wanted to say on the record, I've been given information as to Zoom use the arraignment on Friday. That was immediately ignored, and we were published immediately. So the default in these cases will be in person, since we've not done well with the use of Zoom. Miss Weber speaks. It brings up the thought. The judge is our judge next week. Is he going to be here? We're going to have to go to him. I'm very concerned about some of the folks, given my client what he does for a living. These are people that I think are going to continue to try to disrupt these proceedings if the judge is by Zoom. That actually, you saw what happened. It's actually a damn shame in its own way that that when you have a meeting, I mean, you saw, there was somebody that was basically saying, again, I'm paraphrasing, but hey, what, you off yourself, you know, stuff like that. And yet they did end up muting that after a moment, but that's one of the reasons that you end up switched to the current setting. It's like, hey, folks out there, you can't handle yourself enough. Oh, like I said, that's a damn shame. It's at a point, well, taken, we're working through that. I can tell that neither the court or court administration had any idea what was coming at them right up until the time of the hearing. So again, they were like, yeah, it was pretty wild. And it was, by the way. I mean, if you think back to the early, stuff when they had the arrest and the openings and everything else, it was wild. You can see now what the court was thinking. The court was like, holy crap. Because, I mean, I noted this before. I didn't think I'd be able to watch that, but there was a wreck. I couldn't actually pull out on the road. I was stuck at a store, like stuck right in their parking lot. And I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to pull over and let it clear. And while I was sitting there, I mean, you had close to 1,000 people trying to gain access, and maybe more. I don't know if I don't know if it tops out at a certain number or what, but I'm sure that courtroom had never seen that many people actually pop in. I mean, that's wild. Do you think that everybody kind of got a taste of that? We know there's some folks that are just Cheryl, you're kind of the gatekeeper, for example. like read that. Do you think that everybody kind of got a taste of that? I mean, we know there are some folks that just, and then it just drops there. Well, you know how, there's some folks out there that are what? That are what again? What are you trying to say? It's true, though. My God. You know what I kept thinking, though, when that hearing? I actually thought, considering they had open mics and everybody could speak, people were a lot calmer than I thought they would be, just to be honest. There were a couple of people that abused that, right? But as far as everything, again, considering you have that many people, they have an open mic, I was like, man, this is going to be a disaster. I actually thought they were going to kick everybody out. That's what I thought was going to happen at first, but it didn't happen that way. They actually shut it down pretty quickly as far as microphone access. But it was still, it was something to see. All right. We have to keep Mary up for the hearing. Yeah, I guess my suggestion would be that if the judge is there, that no one else be allowed in by Zoom because they would need special permission by the court. So it would be here in person. Okay. Then, again, Mr. Rekieta is going to speak down here. That's my thought as well. If sometimes I'm scheduled in Baker County, 20 minutes later, 15 minutes later, I'm scheduled in Swift, so the judge can be via Zoom. Everyone else can be in the court, you know. That might be something different. They know there could be different reasons. And then you have Rekieta. He's like, Your Honor, in light of what you had to say about this, you know, in your statement in my arraignment that any recording or broadcasting may be in contempt of court. If I have knowledge of someone in the state of Minnesota who would be presumptively be under the jurisdiction of the state who violated that order, what would be the proper course? So again, Mr. Rekieta is asking this. Should I bring that by, give me a second. Should I bring that by motion in my criminal trial to you? Should I bring this to Miss Pierce? I mean, what should I do in this? I want to verify my information before I actually do make an accusation. But I have reason to believe that someone in this state who is actually associated with the prosecution's case. Again, that's Aaron. 100%. And it's fascinating because here's the thing with this. The association with the prosecution's case from there, I'm wondering, like I've been saying, I get the feeling from a lot of stuff that I'm seeing that one of those sources that they spoke to, you know, we had our 4 anonymous sources. We don't know who they are. Yeah, this other person that's associated with that was one of the people who broadcast that hearing illegally. So again, they have to be a live streamer. They have to be associated with the prosecution's case. You know exactly who that is. Like I said, that doesn't leave a lot of leeway there. You know, it sounds like Aaron was up there talking to the prosecution. He's associated with that. It's like, that's kind of fascinating because that wording, that, again, leads me to believe, who is one of those sources? Oh, yeah. I bet you. If this plays out, if it does go to fighting there, yeah. And I'd like to make sure that this is brought to the attention of the court and Your Honor specifically. Now, the court said I won't be assigned to the criminal case. My involvement is probably done. Having an arraignment. Ms. Pierce, is that information your agency or your office would want? Like, Your Honor, we do not want that information directly. It could potentially bring us accelerate action or make us a witness. I hear the kids talking back and forth. We direct all information too. You can either provide it to law enforcement or to the assigned judge. So they're like, hey, you know, that might put us in a weird place. You know, if you bring that to us, that might cause, again, somebody they've been talking to, that might make us, again, that might put us in a weird position. That's what it sounds like they're saying. It's like, okay. So he's like, all right. If I verify my findings, I'll raise it with Judge Fisher. Thank you. So, you know, they go through that. Okay. Now, again, I thought, like I said, this part, I wasn't even going to cover this. You know, that's why it took me 2 days to even bring this part of it up at all. Because I was like, who cares? You know, this isn't something. Wait a minute. You know, I saw people bring up the cleanliness of the house portion. I was like, okay, well, I guess that is, that could be cooperation. That could be anything. I thought the statement on the children and on substance use, you know, with the state itself writing up that, again, they were stating, this would be a secondary issue. I thought that was something that it should possibly at least be noted, because the state itself is reportedly stating it that way. And again, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying that for clarification. Because there were a lot of, well, what ifs? What if? Well, the state wasn't saying that. The state was saying this is caused by secondary exposure. That's what their allegation was. But I thought this part, again, because it's more in the line with Aaron. Okay, so let's get to some newer stuff here too. Okay, now, first of all, I'm sure all of you have heard about, well, I'm not going to assume anything, okay? Let's just throw this in. It's only 2 minutes. It doesn't really add too horrible much to this. It's worth putting into the pipeline here. Okay, so I don't know if you haven't heard about this. Let's just say I did a live stream talking about it. There was actually Keanu, I think that's how her name's pronounced. A friend of April, the one that I guess the guy on the right is her man or other. I don't know. I don't fucking care, really. Just to be quite blunt about it. The only reason I note that is because Aaron is on the live stream with this person. They ended up reacting to it. Clips out there. It's on the list of clips. I did a live stream with that. But just to make sure I add this in, you have Revenge Prawn. That ends up filed. You have Keanu. Apparently they had a call from the police wanting to follow up on what happened because of this stuff right here. So let's play this.
Old Dirty Ho with 199 says, how nice was Kayla's rack? She was beautiful. I'll say that. She was a beautiful
But
girl.
the tattoo on the right tit. Not a fan of tattoos on the tit.
Oh, the rosebud or whatever that was.
I just saw part of it in the mugshot.
Sure.
What? Come on, not say, please. And I can say this because I'm a supermodel. I can judge other people. I'm just saying, not a fan of the tattoo on the tit. That's all.
I mean, that's that I understand, Gino, and that's.
I'm not saying like if a hot chick like her had a tattoo on her tit, I'm like, no, yeah. Just saying, what are your thoughts on that? The big old tattoo on the tit.
Well, here, give me 1 second here.
Oh, here we go. And what is it while you're looking about that? Like Kiana has tattoos, and I don't know if you'd noticed this. Nuts about the girl. Love her. Greatest thing ever.
Check. Keep your.
What's that? But there are women I've seen that I've known over a course of time that I thought they were hot, and they had no tattoos, and then they got a shit ton of tattoos, and I'm like, I don't like that.
I hear you. I'm just trying to get something.
So it's raining, right? Raining in Minnesota?
Yes, it's raining in Minnesota.
Somebody in the chat put in Gino's defense, he's used to having Frankie give him the weather. Thank you, Eaton. Thank you, Eaton Clams. Great line.
One eternity later.
Had to check my text. By the way,
did you check
I like tattoos more than I think.
Your boy didn't do too bad, did he?
That's so creepy, man. I have to say, like, again, you can have any opinion you want with Aaron, but my God, man. And you have to be a dumb fuck to do this live. I'm not saying doing it not live isn't dumb and gross, but I'm saying doing it live, again, like I said, I'm not going to spend forever just noting this because there's a new portion with this that goes with it too. But my God, again, how probable cause was set up. It sounds like, again, when you go to that older document, the document that we just read, again, that just became available. You just ended up getting it. It was uploaded. Someone went, they picked that up. Again, it sounds like your boy here, he wasn't just probable cause as far as streams. Like I said from the beginning, there was something in the probable cause warrant. If you go back and you read it, the way that they address familiarity with Aaron, it seemed like more. Like it wasn't saying I'm familiar with them because they ran this show. it felt like there was more there. I was like, that's kind of something, you know? And then when you read through again, statements, again, part of the process, I believe that we will find out a lot more, depending, I guess, one way or the other. When the case is over, we'll find out everything, I'm sure. But if you end up going to trial, we'll find it out for sure either. But if he's not one of the quoted anonymous sources, he definitely went in and spoke to the police about all that. You can just see it on this. You can see it all over it. I mean, doesn't it read like that to you? Like when you look at it again. So, the reason I say that is because, again, dude he's aware of how PC was obtained. And if he's a source for that, it's even worse for him. Because, they're going to want to come after him hard. They're going to come after him, first of all, for personal reasons, of course. But also because he would be a witness on what a lot of this hinges on and his behavior out there. This doesn't just go after his credibility. His credibility, his statements before, credibility, I thought of a few scenarios where he could have some real problems depending on, depending on how the judge is in this case. Aaron could have some real issues. He could, especially, at the end of the day, I mean, the worst case scenario for someone like him is, I don't know when he talked to them. I don't know if he just went up there to, inform. And if he went up there just to inform, like he's incriminated himself on quite a bit, and especially it's not just, oh, well, I use substances because, again, there's been discussions about that. Like you'd have to imprison every actress that's ever talked about that stuff. That's not what I mean. But he's talked about, like child endangerment stuff. He's put himself in a bad position for a lot of things. Like, but he's opened himself up to, again, they'll go after his credibility hardcore. And then doing something like this is the stupidest fucking thing you do. You're going to go and get yourself in trouble for something like that? Okay. So, now on top of that, this gets more interesting, though, because, let me see, I got this marked here. So there's a clip. Give me 1 minute. Just got to set this up here. Okay. All right, there we are. So this clip here, this is from, actually, give me 1 second. I can't remember who uploaded this. I want to give the credit. This is what it says. This was on the 1st, so it's been 2 days. Breaking. This is with the revenge porn thing. Aaron Imholte accuses Rekieta Law of quote-unquote witness tampering. This is from Misery Clips, at Misery Clips. Misery loves clips. After news breaks of Nick allegedly reporting Imholte the judge for illegally broadcasting. Okay, so again, that's what that was. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna line that up now. I just wanted to read the thing that was behind it here. All right, so here's the clip.
Niggardly says MN Public Records release is about the child protection case on May 28th. Nick asked the judge if you could get charged with contempt of court for broadcasting his arraignment hearing. Like me or anybody, because a bunch of people his arraignment hearing was rebroadcast by a fuckload of people. Everybody was playing clips from that. Did he really try to do that? I mean, don't get me wrong. He's been trying to, like, he's been flirting with witness tampering with a few different people. Like,
flirting with witness tampering. Now, he says with a few different people, but he's including himself into that statement, fascinatingly enough. He's been flirting with, witness tampering, witness intimidation. I mean, okay.
He's been flirting with it a lot. Like, he's really, the public him versus the stuff that comes out in these records, it's two different guys. How nervous he is and how scared he is versus what he tries to play. Oh, just me? Trying to snitch on you for rebroadcasting the arraignment after 50 other people did it first. Oh, okay. Well, no, it was a public fucking court hearing. So he does think about me. Aw, my old buddy.
See, I think, like I said, I think there's personal portions of that work in, sure. For sure. But it's also, again, one of the first things that you do in every court hearing imaginable is you go after people's credibility. And you also, I mean, if they end up, you end up hitting them with law violation. If they could make that stick, yes, that would be a, ooh, yeah, gotcha, sock it to you, of course, on the personal level. But again, that just chips away at you. It just chips away. Let me hit a few super chats here. Let's see what people have been saying too. What's up, Citizen M, by the way? Thanks for 5. Awesome stream. I've been cataloging Steel Toe for years and ran April off the internet. I recently posted a Rekieta mini documentary on my channel. Why don't you message me on Twitter? I'm curious about that. I thought about here's a question. Okay. I have a serious question for you. I thought about interviewing Rekieta. My only problem with that is that, I mean, I'll let him tell his story. Again, I've seen interviews. I would want to ask certain questions. Again, not being a dick or, anything else. Again, his statements is, but I thought about being like, yo, you going to come on? We talk about this stuff. Now, I don't know. I've been torn on that. I don't want to end up in a fucking court. I don't want to be drug into a courtroom. Like, I'm more worried about that. I don't want to be like, yo, this was said on there. Let's bring in people to talk about it. Yo, no. I don't need that in my life. I don't want it in my life. I don't need that in any way, shape, or form. But I thought about extending that invitation. I've actually not discussed, like, just being transparent about it. I'm not discussing this behind the scenes. I messaged to see how things were going. Because, again, I'd hoped with everything that came up about addiction, I very much want someone that I know to get help. For sure. For sure. But I don't want like a nasty freaking, I don't want a drama. I do have questions, though, I would really like to have answered. So, but I wonder, like, again, I don't know. I don't know if I'd run into things I couldn't have answered. I wonder if I could get that, though. I bet I could. I think it'd probably be good to say. I don't know. I'll think about that. I'll think about it. Because it would be it'd be interesting. Like, I've seen the, as far as interviews are concerned, again, I have not watched, before I decided on anything, I'd have to look at the Chrissy Mayer interview and see what was there. Again, I just being clear on that, I have not sit down and watched all that. There was other stuff. I wanted to know about some of the Karen Reed stuff with Dr. Turtleboy. The guy's facing 120 freaking years in prison. So, yeah, I'd like to know what was going on with that. I was covering some other cases. But on top of that, I am curious on this thing, too. I'm curious how it's going to play out, too. I'm actually curious if you're going to go to court and fight, or because my gut says they're definitely trying. I mean, they're trying every avenue they can, of course, to whittle things down. But it just feels like from certain statements I heard, it feels like planning to fight. And again, that is all speculation, by the way. Just from knowing Nick. Nick is one of the most stubborn people I've ever met. I don't mean that in a negative or a positive way. I'm just saying, like, that can be a very positive quality. It can be a very negative quality sometimes, depending on what you're facing. But I just get this feeling, you know. And I don't know what, you know, behind the scenes, again, you know, the government, you could have an ironclad case, and we've seen it many a time. Like, they have to be able to prove it. They have to have everything in there. I've thought of some scenario. I was like, man, again, for Aaron, man, I don't even know if everything would be great for Aaron in that, too. What's up, John? Thanks for if I disappear, well, either because YouTube banned me or I got so angry with them I deleted all my account info. F YouTube. It made me so angry. Why don't you hit me up on Twitter or email, buddy? You know? Like, if you disappear, I'd at least like to keep, you know, because your other, you know, for sure. Thanks also, John, for the 10 gifted memberships. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you. I get angry too, man. I get angry sometimes with it. And I'm on here broadcasting, you know. Froggy Girl, thanks for the distraction right now, Tug. Lost my father-in-law this morning. Man, that's horrible. I hate that for you, Froggy Girl. You know. If you just remember, you have a lot of friends. If you need anything too, my email, it's attached to the channel. If you don't know where it is, just go to the about, hit me up. Appreciate you, John. Thanks for that. Anybody who attacks Keanu is stupid and way off base. So where potential problems that he air hugs female fan. Oh, yeah, Keanu. Oh, you're talking about Keanu Reeves. No, I'm talking about Keanu, the girl. Yeah. Keanu Reeves is, let me make that clear, too. Yeah, Keanu Reeves, actually, that's a different subject. Keanu Reeves, He's actually had people try to come after him before, though. He's had that. That conversation, it's wild. Even with air hugging and everything, he's had that. So Hamiltonburger, thanks for 2. Not hard to suggest Aaron seeks revenge versus exes. Well, in this case, I mean, yeah. I mean, in this particular, as he was, you know, supposed to be couple, and then Aaron's the odd man out. So, yeah, I mean, I could see that perception for sure. John, thank you again. Another 10 gifted memberships. Thank you, John. Appreciate you, brother. I can't say that enough. Thank you, man. And Carol, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. Welcome to Tillix Dux. Let's finish this freaking clip here. I forgot I didn't finish the clip yet. I was talking. I forgot.
Oh, yuck.
Sorry.
Once the trial starts, all the bigger streamers will start covering the polycule. Don't be left behind, says McBuster. We'll see. We'll see.
Oh, right.
Wow, Snick.
We'll see. We'll see if this goes to trial. I don't know what the "we'll see" is about. Like we'll see if everybody else is going to cover it. Yeah, a lot of people would cover it. We'll see if Aaron's going to cover. Oh, come on, man. You know the answer to that. Aaron will be all over that. I mean, my Lord. That man has done more interviews. Oh, Jesus. I mean, that first, week alone that this stuff popped off. Like, in some of this, I mean, what's really weird to me, in the first interviews, when people would talk about perception of him, again, perception has changed. You can just see it in commentary. But when they would talk about it, and I'd be like, oh, well, he's going out here and setting the record straight. Oh, okay. But it didn't feel like, he almost felt proud. And, I was like, why? Some of that stuff I would not want to talk about. I wouldn't. Oh, and just, I don't know. His whole, what do you keep calling Kayla his baby? It's just, I don't know, man. Just hit me very cringy like.
Nigger Niggardly says Nick is a frickin' rat. He bitched to the judge and made a hypothetical if you, Aaron, could be charged because you're associated with the prosecution. True libertarian. Oh, really? Okay. I mean, no. And as far as like, I'm associated with the prosecution, you understand that I went into the Candy, Ojai County Police Department because I was a suspect.
See, he's telling you, but he's like, well, I went in because I was a suspect. Huh. I went into the I went in. So, how's that sound to you? Like, I had people being like, don't speculate on him being one of the sources, Tug. Don't speculate, huh? Is that clear enough for you, kids? I went in because I was one of the suspects. Actually, you weren't. You weren't because you weren't there. Your name could have been brought in. But, no, that... So, if you're looking at that, being like, yo, he never talked to the police, that umbrella... Yeah, okay. Okay. It's just amazing. It's like, wait a minute. You know what's funny is that whole statement about Rekieta and everything anyway. He was like, Rekieta just tried to rat you out. He tried to dime you out. It's like, didn't you do that too? You know, I mean, again. Pot, kettle, what? What now? Oh my God. It's so bizarre. God, I hope I hope to God there's recordings of him talking. You know, if he went in and had an interview with the police, you realize there'd probably be recordings of that. More than likely. If they did, if they sat down and actually gave statements, notes, sure, but if they planned on utilizing him, saying, you know, they locked in the story too. Let's finish this before I say the rest.
Like they were looking at me like they thought like maybe he was just out that day. You know, they didn't know I'd been gone forever and a day and that there were already divorce papers. Like, they also were like, we need to figure out, you know, were you just like getting groceries that day? Were you doing...
On the day of the arrest, I wasn't around. Like I said, I think he's a source. I very much think that. I feel like that. He's... If it goes to court, we'll find out... We would actually, like I said, and the reason I say it this way, we would know that anyway after the fact, because Rekieta in the, they asked for everything that the prosecution had. You know, that's standard practice. You know, lawyer comes in, asks for all the evidence, you know, what are you basing things on? And so, yeah, they'd know everything. So after the fact... When it's time, when it's time and all of this gets discussed, we would definitely find that out. We would definitely find it out. And that's, like I said, it's just going to be fascinating because it'll, you know, again, the statements I'm making don't really have to do with Rekieta in this. It has to do with, again, the Aaron portion of it. Like if Aaron's going in, you know, his whole thing has been, I'm not mad and vindictive because this guy stole my wife. You know, I went in because I was a suspect. Yeah, that's why I talked to the police and I told them everything. It's like, okay. Again, I'm not even commenting on doing that either. You know, I do find it, like I said, fascinating that he's like, you know, this guy, he was ratting me out. It's like, weren't you doing the same thing? Anyway, let's see.
When polycule runs as well, what's the deal?
He's talking about the polycule too. What is up? I mean, again, I can't even. What a weird world, man. I never thought I'd be sitting around talking about polycules and... Ugh. I mean, all of that, like, again, all of this other stuff would be... That would make a funny interview. Like, it'd make I mean, Jesus, this would make stuff that I would have a fun time, like, just messing with Rekieta. I mean, that would be all right. I think he'd take it. He'd be fine with it. But the kid portion is when it became serious. You know, the rest of the stuff, again, oh my God, I would love to just freaking, I would just have fun with it. But when you get into the interview stuff too, again, you run into questions that may or may not get answered. I don't like that either. Let's see, what's up, John? Thanks for 5 there. My bad tongue. Chat told me you were talking about, oh yeah, the chat, talking about a female, the Rio Kiana is so proper with ladies, it almost hurts. Yeah, I mean, that's, like, I didn't realize her name. Like I said, there's a clip of that on Alyssa Clips where she actually does talk about the police contacting them about revenge porn because there was a filing for that. So I felt like that needed to be included in that portion too. You know, I don't know if Aaron's talked about that portion of it or not on his side. I mean, he's incriminated himself in so many ways. I wouldn't be surprised if he's incriminated himself on that either. I haven't tried to dig that up yet. I might look at that a little bit later just to see. Thanks for the 5 there. Steel toes sauce. Would show up more rancid than pink sauce. Oh no. I don't know, man. I just, everything, like the discussion about polycule and, oh no. Like I said, I never thought I'd be sitting here talking about that. I wanted to include this stuff today, though, because I thought it was interesting. Because again, witness intimidation, like everything that's coming up, like calling yourself a witness. Anyway, again, you're involving yourself as it's exactly what was noted there. And it was noted from the beginning. Like the way I don't feel like, unless I missed discussions, again, I could have missed something because it's hard for me to care about what Steel Toe says a lot. Like again, I saw 5 interviews and some clips, and that's okay. That's enough. And I care about every detail is what I mean. I don't want to know about the lifestyle and all that shit. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear him like, bragging about how, well, at least, at least I got this going away consolation photo that I can send to other people. I don't care about that. I don't want to hear it. So maybe he brought up going there, but the way that he framed it at the beginning wasn't that. That's not what I was hearing. So it's just fascinating to hear from the beginning. Oh yeah, well, by the way, there is this other little piece. John, by the way, thank you again. 10 good membership. I saw those fall in. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. Seen exactly of 2 Nick streams. It was like watching 2 different people. Yeah, the old streams. Okay. The streams, I've seen newer streams, and Nick seems more with it. Like the guy we saw for months, he was a mess. He was an absolute mess. And newer streams that I've seen a couple of streams. I'm not talking about like locals is weird anyway, so I'm judging off of like YouTube to YouTube. Locals is just it has so many problems on its own. But I mean, that definitely is like watching 2 different. Now I did see the Bible verse reading thing. Oh Lord, no, it's like it's probably not a good. It's not a good way to go, Nick. I mean, you live your own lifestyle. It's like this. If you feel like you gotta explain your lifestyle to people, that's a strange predicament to be in, you know. I mean, we all have had like I said, everything else in this would have been funny, but the kid thing, everything else would just be, you know, again, you got what happened now, you know, a nanny that doesn't clean. Would you say the house really was? Okay, well, what do nannies do that don't clean? Okay, you know, I mean, you could have fun with that. That'd be fun. That'd be funny. But the other part, like, again, the kids stuff, and if they've done everything, I stand by this statement. If everything, like, if they've done everything and cooperated through, we don't know. Like all of that particular, if documents come up, I've covered them, but I'm not going out of my way to look at a kid case. It's strange to see, you know, those documents there. But I could see the state returning their kids at the end of this month, potentially. That's just a guess again. It just depends on how that's going. But anyway, all that's too much speculation. Anyway, I'm going to end here. This is good enough. I wanted to bring up witness tampering. What now? This has been brought up again. What now again? And I think we're going to, like I said, I think we're going to find with more Aaron, and the more Aaron talks and the more stupid Aaron does, it feels like the deeper he digs a hole. Tomorrow, I think I'm going to go over that Dr. Turtleboy document, because that is something else too. Frog Girl, thanks for live. Have you had issues with StreamYards? Yes, major ones. I've seen someone else that was having issues. Yes, major ones lately. They sold to a new company. So if you're noticing problems with StreamYards, by the way, they sold to a different company. I think it's going to be time to switch off to someone else. But anyway, I'm going to call it here. I appreciate you folks. There's probably something else to do. I'm going to go hang out with the kids, and maybe I'll be on Flashcast tonight. I'm not sure yet. Depends on how it goes. Later, folks.